Today's topic of discussion is theory of demand. We have to first understand what is the meaning of this demand. We have already studied the theory of consumer equilibrium, where the consumer requires the goods and services to satisfy his wants. So demand is simply a desire or a willingness. Willingness to buy a good or a commodity at certain price and at a certain period of time. Okay, it means that a desire or a willingness of a consumer to buy a particular good at a given price and a given period of time. Like suppose in this particular period of time, say in this month, this marker is offered to me for ₹30, and if I am having this desire to buy it at ₹30, why will I have this desire? If it can fulfill my need, if any of my need is fulfilled. So this concept, this particular quantity is known as the demand. The quantity of a commodity which the buyer is willing to buy at a given price and a given period of time, right? But just understand one thing, that this word only shows the desire of a particular buyer, right? Another important term is effective demand. When this desire is backed by the willingness to pay and ability to pay. Right? You may have a desire to say have a Mercedes car, may want it, but it becomes demand or effective demand only when you have the willingness to pay, that is you are ready to pay for it, and obviously you have the ability to pay. Both the things should be present, and then it will be known as effective demand or the actual demand. Under this chapter, when we study demand, we actually refer to the effective demand. Means the consumer is having the ability to pay for the particular units of the good, and he also is willing to pay for the goods. Now, after understanding the meaning of demand, next topic that we have to study is the demand function. Function, whenever you find this word, you just have to remember that it is the functional relation between a variable and factors affecting it. Why I am writing this particular definition or this line here on the board is that you have to remember that whenever the definition of a function is asked, or what is a function is asked, then you should remember that it is simply the relationship between whatever function it is and the factors which are affecting it. Like you may have demand function, you may have supply function, you may have cost function. It is simply in case of demand function, it is simply the functional relationship between, instead of the variable, demand and the factors affecting it. Suppose it would have been supply function, so it would be functional relationship between supply and the factors affecting it, right? Or they are also known as its determinants. Another term that you can use is the determinants, means what factors determine the particular variable, right? So now we are going to study the factors on which the demand is depending. This is known as the equation of demand function, that is dx is the function of, or demand depends on, px, pz, t, expectations and income of the buyer. These are 5 basic determinants of demand which affect the demand for a commodity, right? So now we will study them in detail. First is px, that is price of the commodity. Again, one thing is to be taken care of, that whenever we are studying the demand, any function, and suppose you are studying this determinant, so it is assumed that all others are constant, right? Suppose I'll study the relation between Pz and dx, then I'll assume that Px and all remaining three are constant, right? That you have to remember. This factor says, this determinant says that there is an inverse relation between the price of the good and its demand. Right? We have already studied what is the inverse relation. Simply you can understand, if this particular marker was sold to me for 30 rupees, I was willing to buy it. Maybe if it is sold to me for 50 rupees or 60 rupees, I may not be ready to buy it. I may buy a better commodity or some other commodity, right? So if the price of the commodity rises, then the demand for that commodity decreases, right? There is an inverse relation. Then this particular law can be derived even from the consumer equilibrium that we will study later on. But you have to simply understand that once the price rises, then the people's ability to buy the commodity also decreases. And you remember that for the demand, the ability to pay and willingness to pay are also necessary, right?
So the price will increase, then demand will decrease, na?
Yes. Okay, then this particular function between the demand of the commodity and its price is also known as the law of demand. Law of demand it states that there is an inverse relationship between price of a commodity and its demand, and remember other factors remaining constant. It can also be known as ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus simply means other things remaining constant. Right, so if you are asked what is law of demand, simply it states that there is an inverse relation between price and demand, other things remaining constant. Then it can also be represented in the form of a demand curve. Demand curve is defined as the graphical representation of law of demand. Okay, again there is an objective behind writing this particular definition on the board, that if you are asked any curve is always graphical representation of certain information, right? So demand curve is a graphical representation of the law of demand, right? Or it simply shows you that there is an inverse relation between demand and price of the commodity. As we have already discussed that if there is an inverse relation between the two variables, then the curve would be downward sloping. So the demand curve is also downward sloping curve. It says suppose 100 units of a commodity are bought at the price of 10. If the price rises to say 12, see 80 units are demanded. भाई डिस्टर्ब होता है यार. And if the price falls to 8, the demand rises to 120. So this is simply representing the law of demand. Then we will study about contraction and expansion later on. So if it is a question is of supply curve, you can simply say that it is graphical representation of law of supply. Just have to remember that this is graphical representation of the law of demand. Similarly, next thing that we have to study is a demand schedule. Demand schedule is again the tabular representation of the law of demand. Right? Tabular means in the form of a table or numbers. Or simply schedule, you already know schedule is representation in the numerical form. Okay, we can simply see that as the price of a commodity is rising, the demand is falling. Okay, you can make any schedule. Just you have to remember that if price is rising, then demand should fall, and vice versa, right? This is a demand schedule. Actually, these definitions of demand schedule, demand curve, they can be asked in 1 mark question, and the representation also may be asked in 1 mark question, right? So you have to just keep these concepts in mind. Next we move on to the second determinant, that is PZ. It is the price of related goods. First we have to understand what are related goods. Related goods are the goods which you may use along with a commodity or maybe in place of a commodity, right? They can be classified as substitute goods, and complementary goods. So that means there are two related goods, substitute and complementary. Substitute are those goods which can be placed in, which can be used in place of other. You can replace them. Like say tea and coffee. Or maybe say Coke and Pepsi. If you don't get one, you can take the other one, right? While complementary goods, technically substitute goods are the goods which satisfy the same human want. The technical word is which satisfy the same human want. They are known as substitutes. Complementary goods which are required together to satisfy a given human want. For example, say your car and petrol. Say bread and butter. Say shoe and socks, right? Mobile and